Hi, lovelies, welcome back. This week I want to talk about giving ourselves permission to be human and to be frail and to be less than living up to our ideas that we have in our head. Because if I'm being totally honest, there's really nothing else I want to talk about this week other than to give myself and you guys permission to just be as you are and show up as you are. I think in this conversation, we can think that if we know the principles, that it's somehow going to kind of insulate us from the bumps of life. Like we just get to a certain level where we kind of become superhuman and we kind of leave our humanity and our fragility behind because we're just so, aware and enlightened and kind of seeing through stuff in our life. And that can kind of put us in a trap. It can put us in a trap of course, the obvious of like, I should be feeling different. What I'm feeling is not okay. But it puts us in this trap where we don't allow ourselves to be human. And therefore, we have less tolerance for other people's humanity and other people's frailty and other people's shortcomings. And this is something that I'm seeing in myself this week. I had a really, really hard week and a really hard day and a really hard just life lately. And it's easy to think, yeah, but I know the principles, so I shouldn't be crying every day. Or I know the principles, so I should be this way with my grief or this way with my disappointment instead of how it's manifesting. And that is not only doing myself a disservice, but I think it's doing the people in my life a disservice. Because if I say it's not okay for me to be a wreck and fall apart and cry hysterically every day about losing a loved one, then I'm basically saying it's not okay for that to be how we react to grief. Yesterday, I found out that my foot is likely fractured and will have to be in an air cast for 6 to 8 weeks. And as this is the 15th of May, where I live, this is literally the start of summer, May long weekend. We have Victoria Day on Monday, and this is the start of summer. This is when we do camping and hiking, and I was going to try rock climbing this summer and all of these things. And to find out that my foot injury that I thought was a muscle or a tendon or a ligament or could kind of just be kind of bandaged up and maybe iced a bit more and treated in that way is something that may require surgery and will almost definitely require being immobilized for 2 months. Fucking sucks. And I have a bunch of thoughts about, like, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had these thoughts, but you should be so grateful. You should be so grateful that, there's people dying all over the world right now, and there's people in far worse situations than you. It's kind of like we play this like victim Olympics in our head, like, oh, I don't have it as bad as some people, so I should be, really grateful. And I should be grateful that I live in Canada because my x-rays yesterday only took, 25 minutes. And what a miracle that is, that I could be in and out of a hospital during a pandemic in 25 minutes and all of this stuff. And like, I'm hearing these thoughts in my head and it's making me feel like, yeah, Shannon, you should be grateful that you live in Canada. You should snap out of your depression and your frustration and your anger and your disappointment and your tears and your feelings basically and come back to the truth that, it's all okay and it's all well and there's silver lining and there's positivity. And in a way, I know that's true. Like, I know that that's what's underneath this thought storm. But I also know that we do ourselves a huge disservice when we say, yeah, but when I'm in the thought storm, I should also be feeling the gratitude. Or I should also see the positives. Or I should also be able to put things in perspective. Because what happens when we do that is that we basically say that what's most important is that we feel good all the time. And what's most important is we are kind of this idealized versions of ourselves, and people are the idealized version of others, and everyone handles everything really well and feels good, and they're all happy and cheerful and positive, and like I said, like I know that that's what's underneath this thought storm because that's the true nature of human beings. But I also know that we can do a lot of harm by not allowing room for humanity, by, kind of telling myself, guilting myself into, but you should see the positives. at least you caught it when you did, or at least, you live where you do, or at least you're in a place where there are still hiking trails, because some people live in places where the lockdown means that they can't go on hikes and blah, blah, blah. I hear all these thoughts, but then I'm like, yeah, but it really fucking sucks right now. And I just try to give myself permission to be okay with that, to be okay with the fact that I just want to stay in bed today and have a duvet day, to be okay with the fact that grief is having its way with me for, the impending loss and sickness of this being that I love so deeply. Just to be okay with the fact that right now I'm not the best, partner, friend, daughter, um, all of the kind of roles that we take on in our lives. Just to be okay with the fact that, yeah, I'm probably not going to be very productive today or this weekend or next week or even for the next month. And instead of making that something that's not okay and something that, it's so easy to just listen to all of the thoughts of should and all the thoughts of expectations and all the thoughts of how we should be showing up and how we should be acting and how we should be behaving and how we should be feeling. But to just really let ourselves be okay with our humanity is revolutionary. And I think that by coming on and saying, yeah, I'm normally here, with, kind of more perspective, more insight, more positivity, more truth, more wisdom. But today I'm just here as I am in my humanity, in my frailty, saying that I'm really suffering and life fucking sucks right now. I think that that is just as valuable as kind of the opposite. And I think that we need to make room for the whole of the human experience, not just the kind of more soft and more lovely sides of it that we tend to feel more comfortable talking about. So hopefully whatever you're going through is giving you permission to just be with it and just embrace it and just to let it happen and not try to force yourself into feelings of gratitude or perspective or big picture or anything that you're not feeling. All of that will return in time because all that is underneath our experience. But just to have room for our experience and just to allow what we feel to be what we feel and allow ourselves to admit that we can feel fucking awful when we feel fucking awful is something that I think is needed now more than ever. So wherever you are, you have my full permission to be with whatever and however anything, life, your emotions, your feelings, your perspective is showing up for you. And I will be back with you next week. So sending you lots of love and lots of care. Questions, comments, requests, always welcome below. And we'll speak soon. Take care.